Jonathan Frizz here with Greg Healy, and we are discussing God's way of doing business. Greg was just telling us about his experience as a businessman, and Greg used this phrase that I find interesting. You talk about a new breed of Christian businessman.
Right.
And you were describing something to me that sounded pretty great, which was there are these people, they've got white hats on, they're knights in shining armor. They go, they do business, they make money, and then they use it for good.
Right.
And what's wrong with that? What is this? That sounds awesome. I'm like, I want one of these guys in my life supporting what I do. You know, that sounds great to me.
Absolutely.
So what is this new breed? And you're saying that's not quite enough. So what is this new breed of businessman that you're seeing? What's this thing that you're seeing? And how is it different from that old model that you were describing?
Yeah, the new breed of business is really all about thinking outside of the box in a way we don't conduct business today. And what I mean by that is I think God is giving a fresh perspective with a clean sheet approach to if we do business well together, what does that look like and why are we doing it? And I think you could start with motivation. Okay? So if I'm out to just simply make money and then do good with it, then what's my motive to make money? Well, my motives could be a lot, but varied. It could be pride. I could, want to do it to look good in front of others or something like that.
But I thought motivation was just to make money. I mean, to make money, to do good. Right. Isn't that doing good? Isn't that the motivation?
Yeah, so if our motive is to just do good, and then what's wrong with just making money any way possible?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
The issue with that is that we're missing the point of why we conduct commerce in the first place. Why are we in finance? Why are we in business together? And I think that goes back to the heart of God. The heart of God is that business itself is the ministry or is the thing that he cares about because he cares about people.
Right.
So if we're just focusing on money making and then turn around and do good in ministry areas, we could understand like a missionary being sent to Africa needs to be supported. We make money, we send him to Africa, and then he does good in Africa, right? It seems like a clean separation. But if when we're making the money, we act just like everybody else does, what kind of witness is that to who God is? And rather, we want to be in business. The money follows out of the heart of God, meaning the way the world looks at business is to just make money. Business is business, and the business is about making money. But God cares about the people, and he cares about you and I relating to one another first and foremost. And the second commandment, greatest commandment, as Jesus talked about, the one that says, love your neighbor as yourself, that's not the one that's looking at you as a lamb chop, a piece of meat that says, I'm going to make money from Jonathan, and even if I can trick him into doing it, it'll be okay because I'll do good with it once I make the money later. If that disadvantages him and advantages me, hey, it's all love, all's fair in love and war, and business is business, and Jonathan will be okay. But God doesn't want us to look at it like that. He wants us, by putting the kingdom first, to look at this business relationship as our primary responsibility to another soul. And, what business do we have to exploit a person if it is for monetary gain? And so reinventing business and thinking about it differently and being a new breed of businessman is one who operates their business and their business dealings with the heart of God, an evangelistic heart that really wants to help the other person that they're working with. And that could be clients, that could be service providers, it could be anybody in the economic food chain. That is less important. What's more important is that we're all people, and no matter where you are in that economic food chain, God cares about you and cares about me. And that's what he's after in terms of commerce, is working together to serve one another.
Working together to serve one another. So, in a sense, what you're saying is there's been some compartmentalization where business is business, and then, it's a black box. Something comes out of it, which is money.
Yes.
And then you got the money, great. Use it to do good.
Yes.
And what you're saying is you want to take apart that black box and say, okay, no.
Yes.
The kingdom, the principles of the kingdom have to be at play in every transaction that's happening here, not just using the end result to do something good. Good has to be done all the way along through the process.
Absolutely. Because when we don't do that, what we are effectively doing is we're idolatizing money. We're making it too important. It becomes the short-term focus so that maybe we could have a long-term doing of good. And the short-term focus for us and the long-term focus of us should be the same, which is to work with God to further his kingdom and seek after it and to pursue righteousness. And so when we pursue righteousness, we realize we cannot act righteously if we're just going to do business the way the world does. If we're just going to operate in fear of needing to make whatever money we need to get by and support our family and then do good, that will cause us to fall into behavior patterns which, Monday through Friday we sort of like say, hey, it's okay, we're just doing business. And then Sunday we try to go to church or worship. And
Sure.
that creates a problem because we're really trying to worship two different things when we do that. That's been what I've discovered through my own journey.
So you're saying the American economy does not operate on the principles of the kingdom of God?
I would contend that is absolutely true. That's a controversial statement.
That's not what I learned in. That's not what I learned in school. I mean, you're gonna have to talk to the Republican Party about this because I thought, I'm just kidding, but I thought the two things were completely congruent.
Yeah. I mean, here's why I say that.
Sure.
Here's what I know. Coming out of Wall Street, no one denies that the global financial markets, including the U.S. equity markets and the U.S. financial markets, are driven by two factors, fear and greed. And these factors are what influence price changes up or down. The issue with those two factors, of course, is they're not from the throne room of God. They don't exist in heaven.
There's not a lot of fear or greed going on.
Yes, the fear of the Lord is wisdom, but the fear we're talking about is fear for my own safety and security and wealth. That's the fear that drives the markets. I have a lot, I don't want to lose it. That's fearful. What I have, I need, and if I don't have that, I'm in trouble. That's fearful. And greed is simply known. Greed is when you're chasing after it because you'll want more.
Right.
But when the markets that our economy are based on are driven by these forces, what we have are effectively two known sins that are no good,
Right.
driving the backbone of everything.
Right.
Because our banking system is dependent on these global financial markets. Our commerce is dependent on it. Most publicly traded corporations are based on this. So we know there's a problem here. We know that heaven doesn't operate in these spirits of fear and greed. So we have to ask ourselves, okay, if not, then what? So markets themselves are price discovery mechanisms. They're neutral. Money itself is neutral. It just is a tool. But what happens is when these forces come behind them, that's what creates all the trouble.
Let's come back and talk about this in just a second. I want to hear more about fear and greed as market drivers and what's the alternative to that. How can we move away from that? What does that even look like? So we'll be right back to talk more about fear and greed.